The Adventure of the Christmas Pudding, Agatha Christie, Part 5.1. Also a rather long section, so it's being split in half. The end of Christmas Day was like the end of most Christmas days. The tree was lighted, a splendid Christmas cake came in for tea, was greeted with approval, but was partaken of only moderately. So they didn't eat that much because they had a big meal in the middle of the day. There was cold supper. Both Poirot and his host and hostess went to bed early. "Good night, Monsieur Poirot," said Mrs. Lacey. "I hope you've enjoyed yourself." "It has been a wonderful day, madame, wonderful." "You're looking very thoughtful," said Mrs. Lacey. "It is the English pudding that I consider." "You found it a little heavy, perhaps?" asked Mrs. Lacey delicately. No, I do not speak gastronomically. I consider its significance. Significance. "It's tradition, of course," said Mrs. Lacey. "Well, good night, Monsieur Poirot, and don't dream too much of Christmas puddings and mince pies." "Yes," murmured Poirot to himself as he undressed. "It is a problem, certainly, that Christmas plum pudding. There is here something that I do not understand at all." He shook his head in a vexed manner. "Well, we shall see." After making certain preparations, Poirot went to bed, but not to sleep. It was some 2 hours later that his patience was rewarded. The door of his bedroom opened very gently. He smiled to himself. It was as he had thought it would be. His mind went back fleetingly to the cup of coffee so politely handed him by Desmond Lee Wortley. A little later, when Desmond's back was turned, he had laid the cup down for a few moments on a table. He had then apparently picked it up again, and Desmond had had the satisfaction, if satisfaction it was, of seeing him drink the coffee to the last drop. But a little smile lifted Poirot's moustache as he reflected that it was not he but someone else who was sleeping a good sound sleep tonight. "That pleasant young David," said Poirot to himself. "He is worried, unhappy. It will do him no harm to have a night's really sound sleep. And now, let us see what will happen." See what he did there? Desmond gave him a cup of coffee. Poirot put it down, made sure David got it, because David's been kind of worried lately. So now David is sleeping really well because of what was in that coffee. Anyway. He lay quite still, breathing in an even manner, with occasionally a suggestion, but the very faintest suggestion, of a snore. This is Poirot we're talking about. Someone came up to the bed and bent over him. Then, satisfied, that someone turned away and went to the dressing table. By the light of a tiny torch, the visitor was examining Poirot's belongings, neatly arranged on top of the dressing table. Fingers explored the wallet, gently pulled open the drawers of the dressing table, then extended the search to the pockets of Poirot's clothes. Finally, the visitor approached the bed and with great caution slid his hand under the pillow. Withdrawing his hand, he stood for a moment or two, as though uncertain what to do next. He walked round the room, looking inside ornaments, went into the adjoining bathroom, from whence he presently returned. Then, with a faint exclamation of disgust, he went out of the room. "Ah," said Poirot under his breath, "you have a disappointment. Yes, a serious disappointment. Bah! To imagine even that Hercule Poirot would hide something where you could find it." Then, turning over on his other side, he went peacefully to sleep. He was aroused next morning by an urgent, soft tapping on his door. "Qui est là? Come in, come in." The door opened. Breathless, red-faced, Colin stood upon the threshold. Behind him stood Michael. "Monsieur Poirot! Monsieur Poirot!" "But yes." Poirot sat up in bed. "It is the early tea? But no, it is you, Colin." Colin. Colin is hill in French. Colin. "What has occurred?" Colin was, for a moment, speechless. He seemed to be under the grip of some strong emotion. The actual fact, it was the sight of the nightcap that Hercule Poirot wore that affected for the moment his organs of speech. Presently he controlled himself and spoke. "I think, Monsieur Poirot, could you help us? Something rather awful has happened." "Something has happened? But what?" It's Bridget. She's out there in the snow. I think she doesn't move or speak, and... Oh, you'd better come and look for yourself. I'm terribly afraid she may be dead." "What?" Poirot cast aside his bed-covers. "Mademoiselle Brigitte? Dead?" I think somebody's killed her. There's blood and... Oh, do come." But certainly. I come on the instant." Instant. With great practicality, Poirot inserted his feet into his outdoor shoes and pulled a fur-lined overcoat over his pajamas. "I come," he said. "I come on the moment. You have aroused the house?" No, so far we haven't... I haven't told anyone but you. I thought it would be better. Grandfather and Gran aren't up yet. They're laying breakfast downstairs, but I didn't say anything to Peverell. Bridget, she's round the other side of the house, near the terrace and the library window." "I see. Lead the way, I will follow." Turning away to hide his delighted grin, Colin led the way downstairs. They went out through the side door. It was clear morning, and with the sun not yet high over the horizon. It was not snowing now, but it had snowed heavily during the night, and everywhere around was an unbroken carpet of thick snow. The world looked very pure and white and beautiful. "There!" said Colin breathlessly. It's there!" He pointed dramatically. The scene was indeed dramatic enough. A few yards away, Bridget lay in the snow. She was wearing scarlet pajamas and a white wool wrap thrown round her shoulders. The white wool wrap was stained with crimson. Her head was turned aside and hidden by the mass of her outspread black hair. One arm was under her body, the other lay flung out, her fingers clenched, and, standing up in the centre of the crimson stain, was the hilt of a large, curved Kurdish knife, which Colonel Lacy had shown to his guests only the evening before. "Mon Dieu!" ejaculated Monsieur Poirot. It is like something on the stage." There was a faint choking noise from Michael. Colin thrust himself quickly into the breach. Into the breach would be like... he's sort of like covering for him. "I know," he said. It doesn't seem real somehow, does it? Do you see those footprints? I suppose we mustn't disturb them." Yes, the footprints. No, we must be careful not to disturb those footprints." "That's what I thought," said Colin. "That's why I wouldn't let anyone go near her until we got you. I thought you'd know what to do." "All the same," said Hercule Poirot briskly. "First, we must see if she is still alive. Is that not so?" "Well, yes, of course," said Michael, a little doubtfully. "But you see, we thought... we didn't like... Ah, you have the prudence. You have read the detective stories. It is most important that nothing should be touched and that the body should be left as it is. But we cannot be sure as yet if it is a body, can we? After all, though prudence is admirable, common humanity comes first. We must think of the doctor, must we not, before we think of the police?" "Oh, yes, of course," said Colin, still a little taken aback. "We only thought... we thought we'd better get you before we did anything," said Michael hastily. "Then you will both remain here," said Poirot. "I will approach from the other side so as not to disturb these footprints. Such excellent footprints, are they not? So very clear. The footprints of a man and a girl going out together to the place where she lies. And then the man's footsteps come back, but the girl's do not." "They must be the footprints of the murderer," said Colin with bated breath. "Exactly," said Poirot. "The footprints of the murderer. A long, narrow foot with a rather peculiar type of shoe. Very interesting. Easy, I think, to recognize. Yes, those footprints will be very important." At that moment, Desmond Lee Wortley came out of the house with Sarah and joined them. "What on earth are you doing here?" he demanded in a somewhat theatrical manner. "I saw you from my bedroom window. What's up? Good Lord, what's this? It looks like..." "Exactly," said Hercule Poirot. "It looks like murder, does it not?" Sarah gave a gasp, then shot a quick, suspicious glance at the two boys. You mean someone's killed the girl? What's her name, Bridget? Demanded Desmond. Who on earth would want to kill her? It's unbelievable. There are many things that are unbelievable, said Barreau, especially before breakfast. Is it not? That is what one of your classics says. 6 impossible things before breakfast. He added, please wait here, all of you. Carefully making a circuit, he approached Bridget and bent for a moment down over the body. Colin and Michael were now both shaking with suppressed laughter. Sarah joined them, murmuring, what have you two been up to? Good old Bridget, whispered Colin. Isn't she wonderful? Not a twitch. I've never seen anything look so dead as Bridget does, whispered Michael. Hercule Poirot straightened up again. This is a terrible thing, he said. His voice held an emotion it had not held before. Overcome by mirth is like funniness, a noun for funny. Michael and Colin both turned away. In a choked voice, Michael said, What must we do? It was hard to say. There is only one thing to do, said Poirot. We must send for the police. Will one of you telephone, or would you prefer me to do it? I think, said Colin. I think... What about it, Michael? Yes, said Michael. I think the jig's up now. He stepped forward. For the first time, he seemed a little unsure of himself. I'm awfully sorry, he said. I hope you won't mind too much. It was a sort of joke for Christmas and all that, you know. We thought we'd, lay a murder for you. You thought you would lay a murder for me? Then this is just a show we put on, explained Colin, to make you feel at home, you know? Aha, said Hercule Poirot. I understand. You make of me the April Fool. Is that it? But today is not April the 1st. It is December the 26th. I suppose we oughtn't to have done it, really, said Colin. But you don't mind very much, do you, Monsieur Poirot? Come on, Bridget, he called. Get up. You must be half frozen to death already. The figure in the snow, however, did not stir. It is odd, said Hercule Poirot. She does not seem to hear you. He looked thoughtfully at them. It is a joke, you say? You are sure this is a joke? Why, yes, Colin spoke uncomfortably. We didn't mean any harm. But why then does Mademoiselle Brigitte not get up? I can't imagine, said Colin. Come on, Bridget, said Sarah impatiently. Don't go on lying there, playing the fool. We are very sorry, Monsieur Poirot, said Colin apprehensively. We do really apologize. You need not apologize, said Poirot in a peculiar tone. What do you mean? Colin stared at him. He turned again. Bridget! Bridget! What's the matter? Why doesn't she get up? Why does she go on lying there? Poirot beckoned to Desmond. You, Monsieur le Whartley, come here. Desmond joined him. Feel her pulse. Feel her pulse. It's hard to say. Your French accent, said Poirot. Desmond le Whartley bent down. He touched the arm, the wrist. There's no pulse. He stared at Poirot. Her arm's still. Good God, she really is dead. Poirot nodded. Yes, she is dead, he said. Someone has turned a comedy into a tragedy. Someone? Who? There is a set of footprints going and returning. A set of footprints that bears a strong resemblance to the footprints you have just made, Monsieur le Whartley, coming from the path to the spot. Desmond le Whartley wheeled around. What on earth? Are you accusing me? Me? You're crazy. Why on earth would I want to kill the girl? Why? I wonder. Let us see. He bent down and very gently prized open the stiff fingers of the girl's clenched hand. Desmond drew a sharp breath. He gazed down unbelievingly. In the palm of the dead girl's hand was what appeared to be a large ruby. It's that damn thing out of the pudding, he cried. Is it? Said Poirot. Are you sure? Of course it is. With a swift movement, Desmond bent down and plucked the red stone out of Bridget's hand. "You should not do that," said Poirot reproachfully. "Nothing should have been disturbed." "I haven't disturbed the body, have I? But this thing might get lost, and it's evidence. The great thing is to get the police here as soon as possible. I'll go at once and telephone." He wheeled around and ran sharply towards the house. "Bye, Desmond. Bye." Sarah came swiftly to Poirot's side. "I don't understand," she whispered. Her face was dead white. "I don't understand." She caught at Poirot's arm. "What did you mean about the footprints?" "Look for yourself, mademoiselle." The footprints that led to the body and back again were the same as the ones just made, accompanying Poirot to the girl's body and back. "You mean that it was Desmond? Nonsense!" Suddenly, the noise of a car came through the clear air. They wheeled around. They saw the car clearly enough, driving at a furious pace down the drive, and Sarah recognized what car it was. "It's Desmond," she said. "It's Desmond's car. He must have gone to fetch the police instead of telephoning." Diana Middleton came running out of the house to join them. "What's happened?" she cried in a breathless voice. "Desmond just came rushing into the house. He said something about Bridget being killed, and then he rattled the telephone, but it was dead. He couldn't get an answer. He said the wires must have been cut. He said the only thing was to take a car and go for the police." "Why the police?" Poirot made a gesture. "Oh, towards Bridget." "Bridget?" Diana stared at him. "But surely, isn't it a joke of some kind? I heard something last night. I thought that they were going to play a joke on you, Monsieur Poirot." "Yes, said Poirot. "That was the idea, to play a joke on me. But now come into the house, all of you. We shall catch our deaths of cold here, and there is nothing to be done until Monsieur Lee returns with the police." "But look here," said Colin. We can't leave Bridget here alone." "You can do her no good by remaining," said Poirot gently. "Come on, it is a very sad tragedy. C'est tragique. But there is nothing we can do any more to help Mademoiselle Brigitte. So let us come in and get warm, and have perhaps a cup of tea or of coffee." They followed him obediently into the house. Peveril was just about to strike the gong, if he thought it extraordinary for most of the household to be outside, and for Poirot to make an appearance in pyjamas and an overcoat. He displayed no sign of it. Peveril, in his old age, was still the perfect butler. He noticed nothing that he was not asked to notice. They went into the dining room and sat down. When they all had a cup of coffee in front of them and were sipping it, Poirot spoke. "I have to recount to you," he said, "a little histoire." And with that, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, we close this part, because YouTube might explode. This recording is too long.